like to continue the dialogue about alcoholism and addiction. If you didn't see part 1 yet, it would make sense to do that first. I'll put a link in the description. So, where did I leave off? I left off at the part where I finally sought recovery. My goal had been to get sober before moving to California from Florida, so that I could focus on my acting career without the distraction of planning my first drink all day long. But being the good procrastinator that I am, of course I missed that deadline, and I moved to California with my drinking problem fully intact. Before I knew it, I started getting banned from jobs, got into minor car accidents, and by the grace of some higher power, I never injured anyone in traffic with my drunk driving. Even though more times than not, I couldn't even remember how I got home. Evening drinking turned into day drinking, and finally, an angel made its way onto my path. I was stopped while driving by an officer named Current, who told me that I'm better off going to the station with him, because with a blood alcohol level of 0.21, I shouldn't even be standing up straight, let alone driving. I was very cooperative because I knew I was in the wrong, and him and the other arresting officer treated me very kindly. They processed me into the system, and hours later, I was bailed out of jail. And that marks the beginning of the end of my drinking career. That night, I started getting delirium tremens from detoxing, and all I wanted was a drink to stop the madness. But my friend who had bailed me was babysitting me, and I felt too ashamed to ask him to somehow help me get a bottle at 4 a.m. I did not sleep a wink. In the early morning, when we went to get my car at the place where I was arrested, I felt in worse condition than the night before when I was blissfully intoxicated. But I didn't breathe a word of it to my friend, and somehow I managed to drive home. To my disdain, my friend followed me home to help me throw out any remnants of alcohol that I might have had lingering around. He meant well, and I sincerely wanted to stop, and yet every fiber in my body was fighting back, screaming that I was betraying it, needing its fix to feel normal. In that moment, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was completely defeated. I was caught, my secret was out, and my drinking problem seemed more real than ever before. As much as I hated that feeling of powerlessness, it's exactly that which would end up saving my life. Admitting defeat, powerlessness against alcohol. Step 1 of the AA program. That's all it took. Depleted, humbled, and powerless, I made my way through the door of my first AA meeting. I made my way through the door of my first AA meeting, and it was intimidating. I mean, these people were so full of confidence and laughter, and there I was, meek and insecure. There was a speaker who was sharing about his journey in recovery, and I could relate to so much of what he was saying. It was the strangest feeling. Right away, I felt this sense of belonging, like these people understood me in a way that no one else ever did. I felt so inspired that I even shared a little bit about myself in front of all these strangers. It's almost as if, now that my secret was out, I wanted to rip off that band-aid and shout to the world that I had finally made it a couple of days without drinking. Recovery was finally happening after years of wishing and hoping for it, day after day. And as scary and intimidating as it was, I was ecstatic to finally be taking back control of my life. That's the irony. By admitting powerlessness over alcohol and submitting yourself, you're actually regaining control of your life. I wish I knew that all that time ago, when I had let my ego convince me that asking for help was a sign of weakness. Now I had a new sense of freedom and hope. I was completely reborn. However, that also meant that I now had the task of figuring out who I was without alcohol. I did not foresee that I would be mourning a part of myself when I gave up drinking. I thought I would only feel relief, because I didn't even like who I became when I was under the influence. I would often become bitter and angry, and more daring, doing and saying things that I would often regret the next morning. Okay. So how do you like my symbolism for a waste of a life? So I was surprised to find that it was hard to say goodbye to that part of my identity. But it makes sense because it was all I'd known for so long. It was my comfort zone. And drunk me was more bold than sober me. She was adventurous, ruthless, limitless. She could feel more deeply. With a bottle of you name it and some deep emotional music, I could laugh, dance, or even weep the night away, all by myself. But in sobriety, suddenly I felt numb and I had no confidence left. So I made it a point not to lose my adventurous side in sobriety by frequently stepping outside my comfort zone. Large gatherings overwhelmed me. Well, why not immerse myself in one of those every day for a week? Stage fright? Sign up for public performances, improv classes, spark up a random conversation with a stranger. Try out an intensive sport that I could otherwise never have done with all that alcohol coursing through my veins. Like rock climbing, parasailing, things like that. In essence, I was relearning how to live. And I definitely made a lot of mistakes. And I had a couple of relapses before finally getting the hang of things. But I am now 8 years sober. And I've learned through trial and error how to avoid the pitfalls that lead me straight into another relapse. I will dedicate a separate video to share about the things that have helped me to maintain sobriety. So be on the lookout for part 3. Stay healthy and strong. This looks weird. Oh, damn it. Let's see how this works, okay? Bear with me. Ah! No, turn back. Oh my lord. All right, again, I'm in the dark. Let's see how far we get this time. Just kidding, don't drink this water. I'm running out of places. It was my comfort zone. And that's why we're here today, in this comfortable bed of yard dirt. This beast's crawling all over it. Okay. Hello, I'm shooting film here. Thank you. Where were we? I'm a rock climber, aren't I?